chair of our Keyperson training committee and helps me with pulling this thing together every year. And so he's going to do a quick welcome, and then I'm going to turn it over to John Cronin, who's the Director of Donor Relations, to also give you guys a quick welcome. So go ahead, Chris, take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Gilman. I work at Global Foundries. I've been the chair for about 5 years now. And, this year is obviously a very different year. And one of the things we wanted to focus on is making sure that we have some time to discuss, what other folks are doing to try and have virtual campaigns. I think what came out and was really, I thought, powerful as a reminder from the first session was just that the campaign can continue to be a way to engage with your company's employees. Again, that's challenging with everyone remote. And so I think some of the good ideas in the discussion in our last session just focused on how this can continue to be a way to reach out and, have some engagement with your employees. And the campaign has always been a great way to do that and can continue to be that, even if it's in a virtual or socially distanced manner. So we do want to talk about that, which is it was a great topic, and then but do want to obviously also talk about the work that the United Way is doing. So we're going to start off with that, and I think John Cronin is going to kick us off on that topic. So welcome everyone. Thank you for attending. It's great to see a lot of faces here, and continued interest in trying to have a good campaign.
Thank you very much. You have any idea how much our hearts are swelling that so many of you are with us on this? It is so critical, and you are the make or breakers in our community, the volunteer work that you're doing in your workplaces, and we cannot ever thank you enough for it. Just seeing all the people show up today, we're so charged up as staff people here. Thank you so much for what you're about to do. And I know that many of you have done this in the past and have some experience with it. Some of you, I'm sure, are new, and this is a really good forum for you to speak and listen and ask questions. And I hope you'll take advantage of that. And I hope you will also, because of the folks that will be able to see this recording will benefit from it. For what's in front of us, I'm going to be supporting some of you. Cindy Elkin will be supporting some of you. Carrie will be supporting some of you as staff people as you go through the next couple of months. But for today, we have an hour, and just to talk a little bit about the agenda. Jesse Bridges and Amy Carmel are here to talk about our current work, what's occurred over the last 7 or 8 months, what we have in front of us. Cindy will talk about some of the virtual tools that we have. We'll have a chance to share our campaign video with you, and then we have a question and answer period at the end. And I know when I'm attending these things, if I have a question, I'm just eager to ask it, and I'm not sure how you want to manage this going through here, Carrie. But we do have a meeting chat that I'll be looking at and monitoring. So if anybody has a question that they just can't hold, maybe it's a good idea to just jump in the chat, and I'll watch for that. Again,
yeah, we certainly take questions through chat, John. That would be great.
Awesome. All right, so I guess I'll turn this over to Jesse.
Great, thank you, John. Thanks, Carrie, and Chris. Thank you for continuing to support our work and training, and for the incredible number we've had here. This is the largest Keyperson training we've had, certainly in my number of campaigns at United Way, and so we keep finding what we try and call the COVID silver linings, is the way in which it makes it so much easier for us all to connect. Not that I didn't enjoy getting through security at Global or any of those pieces in order to make it happen. It is nice, and I'm coming to you live from the United Way offices today, which is actually a rarity for me these days. So Amy and I are going to go through some stuff. We're going to keep it quick. We're going to try and make sure that you have the opportunity to ask questions. But I just want to stress that the team at United Way is here to talk to you and your employees and your partners in the community about anything that may be coming up, questions that they may have. And so we really want to make sure that things don't go unanswered, and they should not go unasked. If you're thinking it, somebody else is probably thinking it out there in the community. So thank you. I am going to do a quick presentation. I think most people are on the video here, so I think we should be able to, you should be able to see my slides as we move forward. Thinking. There we go. All right, so who are we at United Way? You know, many of you, again, have done this in the past, and even if you're new, you know, I think what we're trying to do is frame things so that you understand a little bit about who United Way is and what do we do. United Way exists at the intersection of business, government, and the nonprofit sector. So we sit in the this really great spot where we're connected to and working with people, programs, and organizations throughout these different areas. And we're mobilizing our community to improve it through multiple strategies and pillars of work. And there are 5 key strategies of work that I just want to briefly overview with you. The one that you're working on right now is campaign. And so we don't just look at campaign as a means by which we raise funds. Campaign is a key community engagement strategy for United Way. It is the way in which we engage workers and employees and businesses throughout our community in the issues that are affecting their employees, their neighbors, their own families. And so it's a critical way in which we generate support for our work, but it's also a critical way in which we provide education and opportunity to learn. And so we take that very seriously, and thank you for being part of that work. A couple other ways in which we work, some that are really well known: funding. So we provide program funding to organizations, funding different programs that address our key strategy areas. And we provide funding that does systems change work, that helps to allow for providers of shelters and housing to come together in the Homeless Alliance and work to make homelessness rare and brief. That funding is critical in being kind of the change agent, particularly in the nonprofit sector, philanthropy being the R&D of the social service sector. And that's a big area of our work. Volunteer mobilization. So we do volunteer mobilization in a couple different ways. One is a very large volunteer connection for the community. So we help connect individuals and organizations with volunteer opportunities in nonprofits and in our communities. And we run senior corps programs to help older Vermonters get, out of social isolation, help them to get engaged with kids in the classrooms, help them to stay active and be engaged with their neighbors. We run a program called Working Bridges. Many of you may be familiar with this, and this is our program that helps bring resource coordination and other strategies to the workplace in order to help employees get and keep employment. It helps our employers in partnering with HR and providing some resource support and connection to our community. And it helps the employees through financial coaching, as I mentioned, income advance loans, coordination with resources for housing and transportation and other pieces. And then we do a lot of backbone convening and community collaboration work. So I mentioned the Homeless Alliance, which is something in the past that we've provided funding to, but it's also something that we staff. It's something that we are participating in as a nexus and a network to all the different collaboratives that are happening. And then the backbone work is where we help to provide data analysis and projection and bringing together of different partners, how we make sure that, that other partners are coming to the table. We've done all of this, and we've done it through COVID. Much like many of you, we've had to adjust our operations and adjust our focus, but we were able to, at United Way, pivot really quickly in the spring in order to do a lot of work around COVID. And it's because of you and your colleagues that we were able to do that work. The ongoing annual support for United Way is what enabled us to turn around and be able to lift up our community and help provide critical support during the Stay Safe, Stay Home order, and has allowed us to continue to try and do this work as we start the long road to recovery. We started a COVID-19 United Response Fund, tremendous response to that from companies and individuals across our region that stepped up immediately following the Stay Safe, Stay Home order, and we were able to raise over $280,000. We were able to fund all kinds of different programs like food and housing initiatives. We were able to fund language interpretation and connection to resources for marginalized populations. it was a tremendous show of force from our organization, and many of you and your companies really helped contribute to that, and so thank you. We continued to convene and coordinate both strategic and long-term recovery response. So making sure that the housing and the food providers and everybody are interconnected in their efforts, and so that not one thing was moving forward without coordination with another. That included funding. So we made sure that we were working in collaboration with funding partners so that funding got to the different areas that it needed to get to. It didn't all go into one bucket, leaving, interpretation for community members or other things out from being able to secure the necessary funding. We did that in partnership with the Vermont Community Foundation and United Ways across the state, where we were able to convene and host statewide and really, as a network, have an incredible amount of impact. Volunteer mobilization pivoted incredibly, created guidelines. We promoted and recruited where appropriate. AgeWell and United Way and other partners knocked it out of the park. AgeWell lost 100 volunteers right at the start of Stay Safe, Stay Home, because those volunteers were vulnerable and needed to stay home. We turned those 100 volunteers into 300 plus new volunteers for AgeWell, delivering meals throughout our region. And that not only helped us to deliver the existing meals, but keep up with the incredible increased demand that we saw and have continued to see. And we also got into the mass distribution game, and we're able to distribute masks in partnership with our partners at Commando. So we were really excited to participate in that. We distributed over 6,200 masks in short order, right as the mask orders were being implemented. And then working bridges. We continue to provide resource coordination in a remote environment. So, I mentioned that it was at work that we do that key strategy. We were able to bring the technology to bear to be able to continue to do that work even during Stay Safe, Stay Home. And so it was really critical that we were able to respond in this previous year. And I'll turn it over to Amy to talk about our work ahead.
Thank you, Jesse, and thank you all for giving us time to talk today about the work and where we're headed. We have been and moving forward are helping our community recover. The kind of work that United Way does, the relationships, the partnerships that we have are what is needed right now as we recover and as we look ahead towards reimagining and rebuilding our communities in the ways that are going to be most supportive and effective for people's overall health and well-being. We're investing in the financial stability, health, and well-being of all people in our region, and we're funding programs that serve individuals and families in every town of the 3-county region of Northwest Vermont. We're able to document that each year. The programs that we fund provide data to us around the people that they serve, and so we're able to confirm that, and we're really proud of that fact. We, as Jesse said, we're growing working bridges to serve more people at more workplaces. And this has been a really critical part of our response, is the ability to quickly ramp up the services that are provided through working bridges so that resource coordinators can work with people to adjust to their new situation and their needs to access the resources that exist in the community. And that's been a really busy area of work, not just because of the increased need, but because of the increased opportunities and resources that have been rolled out in response to COVID, so that there's more to offer people and more to help people navigate. Things like understanding unemployment, understanding increased in the 3 Squares benefit, additional opportunities for accessing food, transportation, all sorts of things have changed. And so our team has stayed right up to date on what the resources are and what the opportunities are, and so that they can provide that to the employer partners and most importantly to the employees directly. We are leveraging the power of volunteerism in new ways. As you can imagine, when the pandemic hit, our community responded in full force, and we got a lot of requests from people saying, how can I help? What can I do? And that really took some time for us to explore ways in which volunteers could be active and engaged in a safe way in the community, and what were the needs of nonprofits, and how could we maximize what volunteers have to bring. We had, I'll just give a few examples. our foster grandparent volunteers who normally volunteer upwards of 15 or more hours a week in classrooms across Northwest Vermont had to stop going in when schools closed. But over the summer, they recorded story hours where they read stories, and through partnership with the Northwest, oh my goodness, public access television, we've been able to distribute those and send them directly to the schools so that kids can stay in touch with the volunteers that they're used to seeing on a daily basis. That's one example. We're also developing a training for people who want to volunteer in a more organic way in their communities, doing outreach for people who may be isolated or alone or could need some support. So those are a couple of the ways in which we're looking at the power of volunteerism. And also we're working to fix systems to solve continued challenges. I think we've all noticed, and I know that you've noticed as well, that the immediate response to the pandemic and the ways in which we're trying to address people's needs, we meaning nonprofits and government and communities and businesses, have opened up some opportunities for us to change systems that perhaps weren't working well before, but we didn't have the freedom to try something new. During the pandemic, we've been able to try some new things in terms of how we help people get what they need in terms of food or housing or transportation. And that flexibility that was a response to crisis is a tremendous opportunity to rebuild in a way that's better than where we were before the pandemic started. We don't want to just go back to the status quo. We want to make some improvements. And there's a lot of really good energy around that. And we are focusing on racial equity and justice, as so many in our community are seeing increasing their focus and attention to that important topic. We issued a public statement around United Way's support of racial equity and justice and our commitment to acting as an organization to promote that cause. We signed on publicly to a declaration of racism as a public health emergency in our area and are partnering with 30 or more other local organizations who are making a commitment to change the way that we work and change our systems to be more equitable and more just. I'd be happy to share additional information about that. The grants that Jesse mentioned that we made out of the United Response Fund included dollars to organizations that address the specific disparities, the disparate ways in which the pandemic has affected communities of color. That was one of the commitments that we made. And an important area of our work right now in response to the pandemic and as we move forward and reimagine is that we are doing some really broad outreach and engagement across the community to help us understand what's happening for people, what's happening in communities, and what people think is most important. We are a community-driven organization. We respond to what's most important and what people set as priorities. So we are doing a broad outreach. We've got a community-wide survey. If you haven't done it, I'd love to get that link to you. We are inviting any and all Vermonters age 18 and older across the state. We're doing this in partnership with other United Ways in Vermont and with the UVM College of Medicine, who are partnering with us in doing this broad outreach and surveying of communities. We're also collecting data. We're looking at reports and recommendations that are coming out from other groups that are focused on recovery. And so that's really going to be a way that we pull in input, perspective, and information about our community to set our goals and set our focus for the year ahead. We know that needs may have changed. We know that priorities may have changed, and we want to understand that. And we also need to think about the financial realities that we are facing in the year ahead. Giving, we've seen a decrease in giving by 10% since the onset of the pandemic. And we know that there's some real hardship for people to fulfill pledges or to make donations if they're losing their jobs, if they're experiencing other financial strains. So that's a significant reality that we need to address and that we need to think about in our work. We are right now in the middle of the third year of a 3-year funding commitment that we made to 50 programs across our region. We've committed to fulfilling that commitment, which is $1.5 million each year for a total of $4.5 million. We've made that commitment to the programs because we know that this is the time that they really need this. They really need the funding. They are providing essential services in our community, but we don't have the funds to fully do that in terms of how we've entered this year. So we're going out on a limb to try and fulfill that funding, and everything that you're doing, everything that other community members and volunteers are doing to help our campaign be a success are helping us fulfill this commitment for this year. Jesse, is there anything you wanted to add about that or any of the other points?
No, I think it's, I think we're trying to be real clear with everybody about our financial reality. And I think it's not a surprise for probably any business or organization that's functioning in this current environment. Some context is that 10% is about $300,000 of funding that we were already operating at pretty thin, with pretty thin levels of support. So I think we are committed to this. We talked to our volunteers and to our board about making this commitment of the 1.5 in program funding, and it's a big lift. This is an incredible amount of resources that our community helps provide each year. We know next year will be difficult with regards to that, but we remain really focused on getting through this year ahead, and so we're hopeful that companies and individuals are going to be with us all as a community united as we move forward. So thank you. I'll turn it back over to Carrie and Chris.
Great, thank you so much, Jesse. Chris, do you want to go ahead and talk to both Sheila and Sybil?
Yeah, so one of the things, as I mentioned at the beginning, that we wanted to do was to talk a little bit about what some people who are early and getting ready and getting going on their campaigns, how they've been approaching that virtually. We have a couple folks who've agreed to share with us. So would like to introduce them briefly. Sheila Ashline was one of the folks who was kind enough to share with us. So Sheila, I don't know if you want to start with a brief introduction and how things are going.
Sure. Hi. Our campaign is winding down. Today is basically our last day. I did extend it to Monday for the pledge forms to help people get them in, because we had a little delay on getting the e-pledge set up, but that was on VGS. So we had a few fun activities. We did a 50-50 raffle. We played bingo. We played 2 games of bingo, which is always a lot of fun. Gets everybody involved. It's something you can do virtually. The other thing we've done this week is we did a walk challenge. We've had, our goal was to walk 850 miles over the past 5 days, and I've got 33 people to sign up for that. And as of yesterday, we walked 348 miles. So I think we've done pretty well with that. We've done every day they had a mystery item they needed to look for, and we did a monarch and a caterpillar, a leaf, things that you're going to find when you're out strolling in the fall. Our campaign at this point, pledge forms are coming in slow, which I kind of expected, and I'm hoping that today and Monday they will pick up. But as far as our participation in at Vermont Gas, we focus more on participation and getting everybody involved, and not so much on dollars. Even if they give us a $5, it can add up. And as far as participation as of today, and most of it came in through the 50-50, we're at 99%. So I'm pretty proud of that. We've never had that much in participation. So on that side of it, that's pretty good. I just would like to see the pledge forms pick up, and hopefully over the next 2 days. That's basically what's been taking place here at Vermont Gas.
How did the mask contest go?
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Thanks, Carrie. We also did a mask. We had everybody do, we called it the COVID Guess Who, and we had everybody do masks with pictures of them in their masks, and some of them were so hard. We had one person get 100%, and I keep telling him he cheated because I have no idea how he got 100%, because a couple of them were actually in Halloween masks and you couldn't even see their eyes. But people were really creative in how they came up with their masks, and it was a lot of fun. So that's another virtual activity that you can do with your crew and with your employees. So
Awesome.
that was a lot of fun. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that, Carrie.
No, that's fine. You had a lot of activities going on over there this week.
It's been a crazy week. It has.
Great.
Now, thank you very much for sharing again and being here for a second session.
You're welcome.
Good to hear how things are going. Did you find that, again, there was like, just with everything being remote, that you got some boost in sort of, I don't know, employees seeing one another? And I don't know, I think I tend to think of these as a good place for employees to come together. And I was just wondering how that went in a sort of virtual, socially distanced way.
Well, last Friday we did, we do a monthly drive-through barbecue. So I kind of hijacked that last Friday and had people come, and we sold probably more than 50% of our 50/50 and our bingo tickets last Friday, because people came so we could actually see one another. So that was big. That was big. And then we do town halls that we call it, and we do that every Tuesday. And I was able to speak to everybody during the town hall. So we do get to see people on Teams, but last Friday was great because we actually got to see the people that, we actually got to mingle. It almost felt normal for about 2 hours.
Yeah, I think what I thought was great about that when you shared that last week is just the concept of taking advantage of, say, forums you already have where you're trying to maintain engagement with your employees and leveraging that, to sort of support the campaign, and,
Yes.
and asking for that sort of access to that for that period of time. And then, so anyway, I just thought that was a great example, both using the virtual forum as well as, the physical forum that you've sustained through the pandemic to do that. So thank you, Sheila, for sharing that.
Thank you. And good luck to all of you.
Thank you. So, Sybil, I think Carrie was mentioning you also had wanted to talk about sort of how, or you'd volunteered to talk about what you're doing and how that's going, and we'd be honored to have your input and just to help people seed ideas to keep things going. Sybil, I think you're on mute.
You would think I'd figure that out by now in this.
I don't think any of us will ever figure that out.
Okay. I am Sybil Keefe. I'm representing the Hickok and Boardman network of companies. And so that includes Hickok and Boardman Insurance, Coldwell Banker, Hickok and Boardman, and Hickok and Boardman HR Intelligence and Capital Management. Combined, those three companies have about 233 employees. We did finish our campaign up last Friday, the 18th. We did run it as a 5-day campaign, all virtual, which you are all dealing with. Our campaign theme was now more than ever, which I think resonates for all of us right now. We do have a Facebook page it's open to the public, but is a Facebook page that we promote our campaigns on every year. This year, we also set up a website. It's still live. You can go to it. It's hbunitedway.com. H is in Hickok, B is in Boardman, unitedway.com. And that is set up on a free Google Sites platform. So easy to do. So, and it helped us kind of keep everything in one place and be able to share links out. Let's see, as far as the fundraising aspect, and keeping it exciting during a virtual climate. Every day during the week, we held a Facebook Live event off of our Facebook page at 10 a.m. every day, so that there was some consistency throughout the week and people knew when to tune in. We had different representatives from the areas of need that United Way has identified, and housing, someone from housing, food insecurity, and mental health. So we invited A New Place, Howard Center, Champlain Housing, and Hunger Free Vermont to come and talk to us. So each day we had a different focus, and we held interviews with representatives from those organizations. That was more of an education and awareness to keep the theme and the awareness as to why we're trying to raise money and how it impacts the community going throughout the week. We held a virtual 5K run. Sheila, I love the idea of having tracked the miles that you guys walked or ran during your event, but we did the virtual 5K run walk. So we raised, I think, just over $4,000 through that. We did use the United Way Classy platform to collect that money. So as you guys get into the actual planning of your virtual activities, definitely reach out to the resources that United Way has to collect money and funnel it straight into your campaign. We had about 50 to 60 participants, and we encouraged them to ask friends for additional money to sponsor them, and that's how we got up to, I think it was $4,500. Forgive me, the only number I'm going to remember is the $150,360 that we raised, which is a lot of money. It's honestly, I don't mind bragging about it because it's coming out of 233 people. Like 90% of what we raise is all in those pledge forms. So don't underestimate the value and importance of that. As you heard, the need is greater. We managed somehow to increase our participation as well as our donations. So we had about 3% increase in our campaign over last year, which is fabulous. We did do a raffle. Our raffles are always very popular. I think we had about 60 items in our raffle. We did not ask local businesses to donate this year. We actually went out and purchased raffle prizes, being restaurant gift certificates, things like that. We know that our campaign is going to cost us some money, like to rent a tent or a facility or, to actually execute the campaign. So we asked the owners of the company to put that money towards purchasing items for the raffle. We ran our raffle through Google Forms, again, another free platform. We did, similar to what Sheila said, to have some face-to-face contact. We did have food trucks last Thursday, so people got to see each other and there was a little bit of normalcy. And then our wrap-up event, which honestly I think was probably the best one we've ever done, and it was virtual. We did have Sean King, who happens to work for Hickok and Boardman, but he is a local performer, do a concert for us during our wrap-up event, and he threw out a challenge to raise money. So our wrap-up event unexpectedly, donated a couple $3,000. So that was completely unexpected. That Sean just did on the fly. And if you've not heard Sean, he's playing actually at the On Tap in Essex tomorrow night. You have to go because he's just awesome. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Just that you, again, it was an opportunity to engage your team. You increased your giving. Obviously, that's incredible given what's going on right now. So great work. I really appreciate you sharing that. So
I will say the virtual opportunities are really huge and exciting. We engaged our local group, but if we look at our stats on Facebook, through all the videos that we put out there, we reached almost 4,000 people, made 4,000 impressions just through that video content. and which is out there for the various nonprofits that we worked with to share. So going virtual, I'm not sure we're going to go back in real reality anymore, because virtual was great.
You guys did an amazing job, and I do have the I do later on in the presentation, or up next when Cindy and I are talking, I do have a picture of the website and the Facebook page in the presentation, and they and everybody will be getting the recording of this training too. So if you want to go back and listen to any part of it, you can do that. But the Hickok and Boardman and Vermont Gas teams are phenomenal, and really, I truly enjoy working with all of you, and look forward to working with other key people throughout the training. So thank you for that. All right, Chris.
Yeah, I think Carrie, if you guys want to move on to sort of talking about, what support the United Way team can provide for folks who are trying to make plans around how to run a campaign and how to run a campaign in this different environment, some of the e-giving platforms, it's probably a good time to do that.
All righty. So Cindy Elkin and I are going to run this next little piece, and then we want to make sure that we have enough time. So we're going to kind of breeze through this. I know Cindy is sharing the presentation, so we'll wait a second here. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, I've been on a lot of conference calls and, planning calls with United Ways around the country. Everybody's trying to figure this thing out. And there are just so many ideas out there that I feel like I could run pages and pages of lists. So if you have any questions or really stuck, we have a lot of ideas that aren't even part of this presentation. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us, because you really are the key to our success within our campaign. We understand that these are really interesting times, and we are, just excited to work with the organizations that are able to do a campaign this year, and see what we can do to help you along the way. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your continued support of United Way and working with our team. So as we kind of head into, Cindy, can I have the next slide? As we head into thinking about, our upcoming campaign, I just wanted to kind of review what we see as the campaign key person role, and kind of where the United Way is going to fit in here, and so we can work together as a team. The campaign key person is the person that we really rely on to help educate the people within your organization about the work that we're doing. We can do that a number of different ways. We can provide you all the content, but we love working with our key people and educating and taking the questions from staff about the work we're doing, entering into dialogue about any of the issues that they may have questions on. So we are just, we're here to do that. And of course, in the traditional role of convening, it was always the, NRG's fabulous harvest lunch, or these fabulous kickoff breakfasts that, a number of different organizations would hold. And in this year, it's really about just using technology to get people together. I really think, and what I've learned so far in this year's campaign and in the two campaigns that I've worked on so far, is that people are looking for reasons to see other people, even though it's over a screen. It can get lonely being home, especially for us, some of us who don't have kids in schools and trying to juggle all of that. But also just to see your colleagues and have conversations. So lots of different ways that we can convene people and encourage them to give, and encourage them to learn more about United Way. And of course, the campaign key person is always the leader who, is the director, the motivator, the energizer. As you can see from Sheila and Sybil both, it takes a team in some of the larger organizations. But we are there to help in any way that we possibly can. So I'm gonna turn it over to Cindy Elkin. Cindy is our Director of Administration and Operations, but is also going to be coming onto the campaign team this year and working with the nonprofits and the funded partners, and working through those campaigns. But she's going to walk us through what United Way has available as far as e-tools for workplace campaigns, so you can start to get an idea and start thinking about what might work best within your organization. So Cindy, go ahead and take it away.
I'm working on my mouse.
Oh, you're working on your mouse. Okay.
For some reason. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. So hi, everybody. Again, my name is Cindy, and I'll walk you through really just the options that we have available to you for electronic pledging. We will follow up with you with more specific information as we talk with each of you and ask you which one would work best for you. But this is sort of to just sort of plant the seeds with you and let you know that we do have a variety of ways for you to disseminate a tool for people to pledge electronically. These are modules in the database that we manage, and they are PCI compliant. This becomes a question for many people that turn to our electronic pledging tools in terms of the security of the information, and they are considered the PCI compliant, which if you have questions about what that means, or if anybody in your organization has more questions about that, we're happy to answer that. So we have a tool called single registration. This is a unique link that gets sent to your employees where they are asked to create an account. And excuse me, in the gold box on each of these options, just to kind of give you a high level understanding of what's available with this tool. So all of the pledge options are available with the single registration, which means that we can offer the payroll pledge option here. You have the ability to see real-time results. It's very easy to implement, and one of the disadvantages is it's not connected to donor history that we may have in the database. But this is one that we really encourage you to consider because it's really quite easy and can offer people a lot of different ways to pledge. We have what we call an e-pledge Lite. So this is a little bit of a longer lead time that we would need. The workplace would be required to give to us a list of their employees and their emails, which then connects to the existing account history in our database for those who have pledged in the past. This option has enhanced communication, which means that because we are connecting to data for history's sake, we can talk with employees about reminders. We can send a reminder about incentives or anything. However you communicate with your employees can be done through this tool. It uses standard templates, which is why we call it Lite, meaning that we have some language already prepared for the introduction, email, and the follow-up. So this again is a pretty easy way to engage with the e-pledge, and the same options are available here in terms of payroll pledge and real-time results, that kind of thing. We also have what we call the full e-pledge, and this really does allow you to customize the landing pages with banners and logos, and it does take a little bit longer to set up. You see that if you were to consider this, we would like at least a 6 to 8 week lead time. Similarly to the e-pledge Lite, you would provide your employee list to us with emails. And this again offers the enhanced communication. It's built into the tools so that, again, you can send reminders to people who haven't pledged or thank you emails, however you communicate throughout your campaign. We have created a fillable pledge form. So the paper pledge forms that many of you may have used in the past are now available as a fillable pledge form, which would be sent out as an attachment. So we think that this is, an option that could be helpful for some people. The collection piece of this is probably a little trickier, but it would require some manual collection and printing a form. So it is available for people should one of the e-pledge options not fit your organization. And then finally, we have, as Sybil mentioned, the tool called Classy, which is an online giving tool. We really encourage you to use this primarily for events, which is really what the tool is intended for, but it can be used for donating. It is attached to the donate button on our website. But again, this is really intended to be sort of a second option for events. And I think that's all I have.
Okay.
And again, we'll follow up with you on specifics around each of these options, but they're all ready to go, and we're ready to work with you on whichever one you choose.
Great. Thank you, Cindy. So we are going to talk a little bit about some ideas. And again, I'm going to try to keep this quick just because we want to give you guys some time for Q&A. But I did want to talk about, we still are able to do campaign kickoff events. We've done them. We've been part of them. We can do it virtually. If you've got, say, for instance, Vermont Gas had their weekly town hall meeting. And so Jesse and I hopped on and we're there for that and able to answer questions and educate the people, the employees there about the work that we're doing. So we can still do a campaign kickoff, however it looks or works best within your organization. We're happy to do that. Another tool that we've developed this year, which we're really, really excited about, is the Workplace Campaign Survey. And what this is currently, Amy mentioned the bigger survey that has been sent out statewide to really collect ideas and thoughts around the work that we should be focusing on within the community. What the Community Impact Team did is that they scaled down the survey a little bit so that we could share it within the workplaces to encourage employees to let us know what's on their mind too around community work. Everybody has a seat at the table, and everybody's opinion matters. And so, we really would love for you to share this, abridged survey with your employees and encourage them to fill it out and send it in to us. And it is going to be data that is used to help as we start to decide what the future work is going to be that we need to focus on. So this is something, it's very simple. We have the text all ready for you for an email, along with the link that you could just share out and say, hey, be a part of this process, and make your thoughts known on that. And Jesse and Amy, if there's anything else that you want to add about that, please feel free to do so. Okay, hearing none, I guess I did a pretty good job. So we'll move forward. So events that we, like you heard, there are lots of events, ideas out there. We have a Keyperson training guide that we just finally finished it up this morning. Every time we thought it was finished, there was more things we wanted to add into it, but we finally cut it off this morning and it's ready to go. You're going to be receiving that along with an email from your staff person and some other resources so that you can so that you'll know who you're going to be working with, but also start to have some of these resources. And there are lots of ideas in there for different types of events, from Pictionary to bingo to scavenger hunts to virtual 5Ks. I saw one yesterday from somebody from the People's United Bank out of Connecticut, where she had a different thing every day that she filled. For instance, one day it was a candy jar with those candy corn candies in it. And what she did every day is she would take a picture of that, and of course they had to guess how many were in there. But she also used that email and shared something about the work that United Way was doing, which was a really nice way to kind of tie that together. And she, whoever guessed closest would win some sort of gift card, whether it be a Dunkin' Donuts card or, Starbucks or whatever. And she felt like that was something she could do. It was fairly easy, and the card is easily mailable, not anything she has to pack and ship to somebody. So just some ideas like that are in the Keyperson training guide, which I encourage you to look through. And of course, staff is going to be right there with you, kind of helping you through. Another idea that I wanted to talk to you about is the Working Bridges interactive activity that we have been working on over the summer. We joined forces with a local company called Game Theory, who really, their whole mission is to create activities or games around education and research. And so we came together with them, and they are working on this interactive activity that is actually being tested today with some of our Working Bridges business partners, around getting people to start to understand some of the decisions and choices that people who maybe are less fortunate, or maybe just the struggles that some people have, and the choices that they have to make, and how those decisions are made. It's going to be a really it's going to be a great activity to use with your staff. And like I said, we're just putting the final touches on it. Should be ready, we're hoping, as soon as next week. When it's ready, I'll be happy to share more information about it. But I encourage you to think about, if you're looking for some sort of activity to really engage your employees around some of the work that we're doing, especially our Working Bridges team, we are absolutely happy to talk about that interactive activity. So I'm going to end it there with, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to meet with us, you should be receiving that email from your staff person either later this afternoon or early next week, so you'll know exactly who you'll be working with. And, we're happy to talk through ideas. We're happy to get you whatever it is that you need. We do have a space on our website where the 2020 campaign toolkit is located, which is this slide that you see right here. It's really, all of the information that we could share with you is there, so you can get to it anytime you want to, including our video, the fillable PDF work, the pledge form, the corporate pledge form, information on the COVID work we've been doing on the funded programs. All of the information is there. We've put it all just so that it's easily accessible, and we'll be sending you a link to this as well. But watch for that. And, I just want to thank Chris again for helping. Oh, this is the picture of the things that she was sending out from Connecticut. Guess how many coffee beans are in the glass? Guess how many pennies are in the pile? This one on the lower right are Lego pieces. I had to really take a close look at that, but she's using things that she actually has around the house just to kind of create something that she can send out. So, and the next slide has the Hickok and Boardman website on it and their Facebook page. And so, like Sybil said, people are more than welcome to go check it out and see what they've done this year. So again, thank you all so much for coming, for Chris for chairing this again. Cindy's going to show the video. It runs just shy of 2 minutes. And then we're going to see if there's any questions before we end this session. So go ahead, Cindy, you can go ahead and show the video. Did you get it to go this week? You're muted, just so you know. Well, while we're waiting for Cindy, does anybody have any questions for us that we can answer?
I've been monitoring the chat room and just some thank yous from folks that are coming and going.
Great.
If I could just step in here and just put in a plug for this survey, this workplace survey. Over the years, we've had many different modules that tries to pick a donor, you and your colleagues up and drop you right in the middle of that room where people are making very difficult decisions and thoughtful decisions based on data and based on input. How do we invest these dollars to they do the most good? They have the greatest impact. They create successful systems. How do we do that? And every time somebody participates in that as an exercise, it's really inspiring. And you get a sense of how hard it is to make these decisions and how carefully they are made. So this survey is not an exercise. This is actually your chance and your colleagues' chance to have an input into where we invest the community's philanthropy over the next year at least and beyond. So I really encourage people to take that, to use that as a tool to communicate with your colleagues in the workplace. It's a big deal. It means something. It's not just an exercise.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. How are we doing, Cindy?
Good, I'm ready. You ready?
Okay.
2020 has been swept by change.
We've learned so much already.
And there is much more yet to come.
As we navigate this new unknown path,
we have been reminded of our essential needs and how it feels when they are threatened.
We have been reminded of how much we rely on each other.
And what it's like to feel isolated or alone.
We have been reminded of how it feels to be uncertain and unstable.
We've been reminded that some in our community are more vulnerable than others.
We have been reminded of how to care for our elders and our neighbors.
We have been reminded of how connected our community is and what it needs to function.
We have been reminded of how to protect and respect diversity.
We're learning that together,
we can flatten a curve and rebuild a broken system.
We are reminded of how much we want to see our community alive and thriving. Navigating the path to recovery will require us all to work together.
This is exactly what United Way does.
United Way is more than just our name.
It's how we work.
For decades, we have united donors, partners, volunteers,
and communities to fight for the stability, health, and well-being of every person.
United Way responds to needs that exist every day.
The community defines our priorities.
This year will be no different. It's time to invest in resilience.
We're leading the charge.
Let's build a strong and vibrant community together.
Great. Thank you, Cindy, for getting that to go. Before we sign off, does anybody have any questions that they want to throw out to us before we say goodbye?
How do we access those electronic options so we can have them vetted by our internal IT before we make a choice?
So you're going to be able to, when you get this email, there will be a link to that website where the 2020 campaign toolkit is located, and they're all there. They're all hyperlinked, and you can pick and choose whatever you'd like to use.
But if you're talking about the e-pledge tools, we'll talk with your staff person. We'll talk with you about that, and we can answer questions and provide any information to your IT people at that point.
Great. Anybody else have any questions? Well, again, we just want to thank you all so much for joining us and being here and listening to our presentation and being a part of this process. We certainly could not do this campaign without our campaign key people and our volunteers. So thank you again feel free if you need something immediately, feel free to email me and I can direct you to the right staff person. But like I said, you'll be hearing from us, so you'll know exactly who you'll be working with throughout this campaign. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful Friday and enjoy your weekend.